So I am sorry for taking so long for getting this video out. I know I promised to some of the people on LinkedIn that I would get to it as soon as I can. Geo Week came around, and I'm actually super glad that I did this test before Geo Week came around. For those of you who don't know, we did a major scanner shootout at Geo Week. I think there was 17 different sensors there. And up until I did this testing, I had never thought about putting a time limit on anything. And what happened during this one was the Orbis guy went out and he did 20 minutes. And me and the builder and I were sitting there thinking, wow, that's kind of overscanning it. And then instead of beating it, the NavVis guys went out and did 48 minutes of scanning. So ultimately not really a fair comparison as far as density goes. That kind of goes out the window. We'll take a look at the two data sets. Actually, I'm impressed with both of them. I don't want to give too much away before we dig into it. But yeah, so that helped us define how to do it better inside of Geo Week, which is going to be really cool data sets. Anyways, let's dig right into it. Okay, so I didn't fast forward, or I didn't cut anything. I just decided to fast forward through me refamiliarizing myself with CloudWorks. The problem with trying out so many different softwares and learning so many different tools is you kind of forget how to use some of them. So it's embarrassing, but I had to struggle through some of this. One of the things I noticed right away is the clarity on the imaging from the NavVis. It's just phenomenal. When it finally all loads in, it's quite colorful. It's really clear. Now, the goal was to have an unfiltered point cloud. That's impossible with the NavVis. As soon as you load it in, it runs through some filtering. The Orbis, we were able to do it without. You have a little more control that way. But a very minimal, as that from NavVis says, it's very minimal. The only reason I know there is filtering is because I can see the trajectory path before it gets thrown in, and that had quite a bit more noise. But I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're concerned about is, the final products. And this is actually pretty clear. I mean, good job, NavVis. This was shiny metal studs, and I didn't think they were going to show up well at all. So next, I kind of want to take a look at them vertically and just see how much noise there is between the studs, because it can travel over anything reflective. But it still looks pretty freaking good for a mobile scanner. I'm not gonna lie. It's much better than the first time I tested this out. You can tell that the filtering it's done, if you notice the studs are a little bit sparser than the areas near it that aren't reflective. That's because the filtering attacked that a lot more than the areas that weren't, obviously, because there wasn't as much noise on those. But even on the ducting and the piping, that was really reflective. I mean, the entire ceiling of this building was reflective. I'll see if I can isolate it in some of the pictures or videos that we took. All in all, it's clean. It's clean. I mean, is it TLS clean? Maybe not. And at 40 some minutes, you're pushing the time that it would take probably to run an RTC through it too. And the whole point of a mobile scanner is speed, right? It is nice that it was a busy job site, and so we could keep moving and be out of people's way. Whereas with the TLS, you are kind of stuck in someone's way for a few minutes at a time. So now we're trying to look at some of the piping, I believe. Yeah. It's nice and crisp. You can see the stud right next to the pipe going horizontal. Ducting, I believe. There's not too many shiny pipes in a building, so it's probably radius ducting. Super clean point cloud. I just wanted to get a couple more cuts before we go and look at the Orbis. All in all, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to complain about. I mean, we can go into the whole debate about cloud-based and trade-ins and whatnot. But as far as the point cloud goes, it's come a long ways. It's looking pretty good. Alright, now we're going to look at the Orbis. Right away, you're going to see it's much less dense. I mean, it's half the time spent scanning. But once it loads in here, it's pretty decent. I will say that there's a noticeable difference between the camera quality. Faro's done a good job of upgrading the sensor itself, but they definitely have some work to do as far as the camera goes. Now they're taking a look at the cut. I mean, with no filtering, it's actually pretty decent. I will eventually take this and run it through a very basic filter, probably in Cloud Compare, just to see what it turns out to be. But you can see the ducting and the piping, it's all highly reflective. The studs, there's not a whole lot of noise. I mean, there's definitely some noise, but for no noise filtration whatsoever, it's pretty good. Now we're looking down on some studs. Go ahead and zoom in, and we're kind of at the ties. You can see right there, there's one or two that are low enough that you can see. So there's definitely more noise. Again, without the filter. And maybe we were wrong, the builder and I, when we were saying that they were overscanning it, and you know, maybe they knew that they were going to have to filter out a lot of that shiny noise, and so that, you know, getting more of it would produce a cleaner point cloud. We were looking at it more like, if we're on a job site, we're scanning for a specific reason, and we're going to attack that reason and move on with our day, because typically it's not our only scan of the day. I'm going to readjust real quick and see if I can find a better spot on some studs. Again, not as clean, but again, also no filtering and half the scan time. And you'll have to forgive me. Sometimes in this software I get a little, I zoom in too far. Then, since it's reverse of everything else I know, then I have to remember to scroll the other way quite a bit, or else I'll just forever be past the point cloud. What I'm doing now is just scrolling around trying to find out if there's any just terrible areas or really good areas, you know, just searching for anything abnormal. Kind of peeking around. Now the imaging does really well on the reds and the yellows, I notice. There's some piping and some more ducting, which actually all in all is really not noise free, but much less than I expected. Some of the other mobile scanners that I've tested, I don't want to name them here, will not even show anything reflective, and that's even just in GeoWeek. I took some of them around, and there was a lot of reflective surfaces, and they just were dead spots in the scan data. And there were some that excelled exceedingly. So here we go. This is a nice little cut. There's some piping and some ducting. And all in all, with no noise filtration, I know I keep on picking on that point, but I go back and forth on the idea of, I always think I want to see it before it's cleaned, because that will tell me how good the sensor is. But ultimately, the other side of that coin is, do I really care? What I care about is the final product that I have to build off of. Now, I don't want it to falsify data, but I also want it to be nice and clean and good looking. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful, and that's all pretty reflective. Again, the imaging could be better. But this is the first release of the Orbis, and everybody's probably rolling their eyes right now and saying, well, it's the second release of the GeoSlam, but then you're not incorrect. Much like they upgraded the NavVis with different sensors in cameras, they upgraded the Orbis with different sensors, and I think the same camera, but it looks pretty good. I'm kind of isolated. Run a quick noise filter. One of the things I've noticed with mobile scanners is if you run a noise filter that's not meant for necessarily mobile scanners, it will eliminate a lot of data, because it's just noisier than TLS data. Sort of like when I run a meshing program, if the mesh fails pretty bad or looks googly, I know that the scanner is not great. It takes a really high quality scanner to produce a high quality mesh. I'm going to speed this up a little bit just so we don't have to wait for this whole... And there it is. It's actually, it's definitely sparser. Actually, it reminds me of the sparseness of the studs in the NavVis data. I'm pretty impressed. 20 minutes, we captured this entire building. And if I were to pull this out again, it's not just this floor. We captured some of the second floor, went up the stairs, and all while filming, which I always joke that I spend about twice as much time filming the scans as I do scanning. It's quite sad, really. I'm just taking another peek at the NavVis data again. I just kind of refresh my memory about what it looked like, and maybe I can find those same pipes in the data. Well, not the same pipes, but definitely some ducting and some pipes there, and that looks, the imaging is a lot better with the NavVis. I will give them that for sure. For the price, it better be, but that is a clear image. Crisp data, too. Again, I'm impressed with both of them. Come a long ways in a short amount of time with mobile scanners. Now, I do still agree that they are not the tool for everything, but they're getting closer. Alright, what it really comes down to, and it reminds me of my new favorite saying, is there's no perfect scanner, but there is a perfect scanner for you. These are both viable options. It depends on your needs and wants. If you don't want a computer-based software, you want cloud-based. If you want to be more mobile, there's lots of things to weigh out when you're looking at both of these. This is just a taste of it. We'll have a full report from GeoWeek coming up in the next month or two. The one problem with more sensors than ever before is more data than ever before, and we have to organize it all, make sure it's all nice and fair, and come up with a good way to compare them. The next thing that's up for me is the LSAW. I'm thinking about live streaming from there. Let me know what you guys think about that. Remember, there's Lido's Lounge every other Wednesday. The next one is... sorry, should have that prepared. The next one is the 28th. Yes, Wednesday the 28th of February. So if you have any input, join us there. It's growing by the week, and it's a fun crew to have a drink with and talk about laser scanning. As a matter of fact, being on the panel and being in GeoWeek reminded me a lot of the lounge and what it could be. So until next time.